Guys, we're in a lose-lose situation. Our CENTCOM's on high alert, our military's on high alert, and it was one of those things like we talked about in the last few days. It didn't matter if we were involved or not in the Iran and Israel situation. We would be blamed for it. Not only by the Democrats, but by Iran, by the world players. Like, we all of a sudden knew what Israel was going to do, and we backed it. Now, we knew about it. We even told our people to get out of the way. But the bottom line is, Trump and Rubio both came out and said we had nothing to actually do with them going in to do what they did. And actually, Trump even came out and said, look, Iran, this is what I literally told you this was going to happen if you did not come to the table. But now, guess who they want to blame for all this? Guess who the Democrats want to blame for all this? Guess who, the world wants to blame. Turkey wants to blame. All the big players wants to blame. America. The lose-lose situation starts. Now let's talk about what it means. Are we really seeing an escalation not only in Civil War, but now World War? Is this all one big plan to basically obfuscate Trump, to cause him problems in his administration? That's what I believe it is. And then lastly, we're going to discuss fake blood, artificial blood. It's coming to a city and hospital near you. Sometimes I wonder, if we would just leave things alone, like our food system, and actually go back to the way that God made it. I think we have too many people that's got a God complex that wants to believe that they can be the next person to make the next best great invention. But ultimately, they're trying to become God. Mark Anderson even made a comment. He said, in the next 20 years, I think you're going to be frantic with what you're going to see with AI. It will become a God. We'll discuss what he said and dealing with this artificial blood, too. It's kind of creepy, weird. Let's dive into these stories. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about today's video. We're going to talk about basically my opinion on Israel, and you may not like it, but to be honest with you, this is where we're having a problem because the right is even infighting about Israel. And so we're going to start there, and then we're going to work our way to all the rest of the news that we talked about in the intro. First, let's talk about Israel and Iran. Israel said they're going in. Israel said if Iran doesn't come to the table, we're going in. Israel said if Iran doesn't stop nuclear situations, we're going in. America warned Iran, Israel's coming for you if you do not come to peace negotiations. It was warning after warning after warning after warning. And guess what? Israel did exactly what they said they were going to do. So they go in and make these strikes. And calculation-wise, they said that it literally took out some of the highest-ranking members of the military over there. It took out major plays, and it was very, very poignant strikes. It's multi-day, so it's coming more and more. Now, no matter if you believe in that or not, it's not our fight. We've talked about that before. Just like Russia, Ukraine, it's not our fight. Just like Azerbaijan and the Syrian people, it's not our fight. But again, here we go. Trump said, this is what's going to happen. This is not our battle. Focus on America. Israel goes in. Guess who gets blamed? Trump and Republicans. Trump and the conservatives. Trump and America. Turkey comes out against America. Iran comes out and says they're going to have retaliation versus America. China comes out and warns America for what Israel's doing. And so here's the thing. It was a lose-lose situation for us. So Trump was not going to win this argument, not because Trump did something wrong. It's just because we get blamed for so much stuff, I think, sometimes that are so petty, and then it makes division. And this is what I was saying yesterday about the BA theory. When we cause infighting amongst even the conservatives, nobody wins. I thought Jack Posobiec said it well yesterday. He said, everything seems to be trending in the right direction. Now, the media will tell you it's not, but ultimately, we're seeing just what we voted for. People being deported. We're seeing inflation down. We're seeing literally America pride, meaning we're not seeing June pride, we're seeing American pride, USA. But he even said, if this happens with Israel, we'll get blamed for it, and then it will split and divide the situation that's got going on right now. Charlie Kirk said the same thing, and I think they were exactly right. I believe now what you're seeing, I think it was kind of like the Trump-Elon situation, which it seems like they're making up. But I believe if you can cause division in the conservative movement, then ultimately we lose. And that's exactly what's happened. Not just with Israel and Iran. Let's go back to the cities first. We now have Republicans who are not voting for the $9.4 billion cut. Now that's like a penny compared to what we should be cutting. But now we have people that's not voting for that. Now we have Republicans who are saying, well, we don't need to defund PBS. Literally a governmental propaganda wing of the Democrat Party, and now you have Republicans saying they don't want to vote for it. Now you have Republicans saying, well, this tax on tip things, I don't know if that's a good move or not. Because our focus has been on the big, beautiful bill. Basically what they're doing is now tearing it slap up, and basically no policy that we wanted is getting done. Inviting starts. Therefore, it causes problems with Trump and Elon. Elon just wanted cuts. He said, I devoted all this time, $135 billion worth of loss I took in my companies to devote this time, and all of a sudden, you Congress will not pass it. So it causes a division. Now let's go to the cities. The cities are going crazy. Everybody's on the same path that we want to deport. 77 million people voted for that. Not only that, over 65% of Americans wanted to see illegal immigrants sent back home. That means that was Republicans, independents, and even some Democrats. So that's what we voted for, people. Then when we actually see it start happening, guess what? Now you start hearing some of these Democrats say, oh, no, we shouldn't do this. Now you're seeing independents say, well, this may be a little too far. Now you're seeing Republicans bow down and say, look, well, what about the farmers? What about the farmer? What about what about all the things we need immigrants for? What about the school system? We need to teach them so they'll be the brightest people in the world and they'll come back and be here in America. So all of a sudden now, Trump's starting to kowtow a little bit. He's allowing all these Chinese immigrants to come into our schools. And also he's saying we may write some executive policy to keep farmers happy because illegal immigrants are the ones picking their crops. You see that happens? We divide, and then all of a sudden we get conquered. We become the loser of the situation. Now let's go to the Israel situation. Now I'm going to tell you my opinion first on Israel. And you don't have to like it or not, but it's just the way I feel. And I believe this is how most true conservative Christians feel. I do believe Israel is God's chosen people. Do I believe they've made mistakes, and do I believe they're focused on Christ now? Absolutely not. They turned him away. But it never mattered in history and in the biblical times. Israel turned away from God so many times. And God proved a point with them, and they turned back. We're in a time where they're falling away. But ultimately, I do believe that Israel, the place of Israel, the place of Jerusalem, the place of Bethlehem, the place of the biblical times is very vital. And I believe as a Christian conservative, you should support Israel. Doesn't mean that they're doing the will of God right now. But it does mean they are the God's chosen people. Now, some on the right will say, no, that's not what it was talking about in Scripture. It doesn't. You're fallible just like I am. We're imperfect. We don't know what sometimes. We don't understand Scripture to the whole. We can listen to all these doctrines and theologists and all this stuff, but ultimately it comes down to a hard issue. I do believe that God is righteous. And I do believe God has a purpose for Israel. We know that if you've read Revelations. Now people say, oh, the Israels of this day is not the Israel of that day. Again, quit with all that. Don't try to put some kind of spin on it just because you heard some kind of woke right person say that. But that's what's happening in that's what's happening in the Republican Party, though. You're seeing division among Israel. That was one thing, Republicans and conservatives and Christians alike all supported Israel. That didn't mean we're going to go to war with them. That didn't mean that we're going to go over there and battle with Iran. I didn't say that. But I do believe that we should, of course, respect them and support them. Well, this gives all the more reason to see divide and conquer. We're seeing now, we're literally seeing the libertarian side of the party, and we're starting to see that populist side of the party. The independents that kind of came over for Trump and RFK, but ultimately were not true conservatives, they're all, defaming this whole situation. And it just blows my mind because I'm like, this is why it's so hard to make sure that we're a party of a big, diverse group. We need to have core convictions, core values, and support that. And if you choose not to support it, that's fine. You can vote for the person in power, but ultimately, it should not change who we are in the conservative movement. And I think that's what's happened with congressmen wearing an R behind their name. What's happened with the cabinet. What's happened with certain pundits coming over and podcasters coming over. Everybody has an opinion, but ultimately what it's doing is dividing our party, which ultimately causes Republicans to lose. Have you ever Googled yourself and literally your family members and information of yours came up? The question always comes to mind is how much of my public information is actually on the World Wide Web, on the internet, where people could just access it. Not only that, Think about all the spam calls you get, all the spam emails you get. I get several a day and have to block and block and block. That's where my friends at Aura, the sponsor of today's video, can help. Aura will help remove your personal information from data brokers and people searching sites to sell your information from and to identity thieves and scammers and more. Aura monitors your personal data, including your social security number, your house number, your phone number. And not only do they check it and monitor it, they will alert you if all of a sudden they find that your information has been compromised. Also, Aura VPN. VPN protects you on the internet, and this was with military-grade protection when it comes to Aura's VPN. It blocks all scam and phishing sites from getting your information in your accounts. What about an antivirus? What about a password manager? 24/7 US-based support. I get all this in one app called Aura. I do not want to leave myself vulnerable. We talk about it all the time. We live in a digitized world. The last thing I want to do is protect my home and not protect myself online. Check out aura.com/themacs today. You will not be sorry that you did. My information is mine. My social is my social. My address is mine. The last thing I want is someone else to have it. You can go to my link below, aura.com/themacs, and get 2 weeks free. That will be enough for you to see how Aura is an asset to you, because you're going to realize how much you're exposed online. Stop leaving yourself vulnerable. Check out Aura today. Link is in the description. Thank you so much, Aura, for sponsoring today's video. What have we passed and who have we arrested? We've not passed anything in the House and actually worth anything. Our Supreme Court's not helping really conservatism at all. And now we see a dividing situation where we don't want cuts anymore. We're not actually doing anything. The DOJ hasn't arrested anybody. Cash Patel and Dan Bongino, yeah, they've done some good things, but not the stuff that they promised to do. See, this is how dividing and conquering works. And that's what scares me the most about what's going on with the Israel situation. It's just another way of dividing the conservatives and Christians and Republicans. I think that's what's happening in our cities right now, and that's what's happening again with Israel. Now here's the thing. Right now Israel is being warned, but more than that, Iran is saying we're going for America. We will retaliate versus America. Well, if you remember, for the last 4 years we've had open borders. How many of those sleeper cells will be activated now in the cities? You couldn't pay me to be in the cities right now. You couldn't pay me to go to some kind of event right now, because they said this will be major retaliation coming. Trump even literally, he warned at CENTCOM to say, look, be on the lookout. So CENTCOM now is at high alert, looking for situations that take place in America and on troops and across the world where Americans are. Is this the way we should be living? No, but this is the hand that we've been dealt. So like I said, I think it was a lose-lose for Trump. Trump comes out actually losing in this whole situation. Not because it was his fault, but all because of the narrative. And so now we have governors versus Trump. We have senators versus Trump. We have his own Republican Party versus Trump. We have Elon versus Trump. We have all of a sudden, now we're seeing every world power is coming against Trump because it was our fault of what Israel's done. I think every time we go a little bit further down this chaotic situation, I believe that we are looking at a time where there may not be any answers for Americans. There may not be a reawakening, a revival. So that's why we prepare. That's why we try to make sure that we're ready for just about anything. Because what we're seeing now is dividing the conservative movement and Republican movement on the issues back at home, and now issues with Israel. And now we have risk from Iran saying that we're going to cause chaos. I'm going to say it, and you may not agree with what I'm saying. I believe we're setting up for, I don't know, a false flag, you can call it that, or a major red flag event, a mass casualty event. I could be completely wrong, and I hope I am. But I believe that you're fixing to see something major take place when it comes to Iran, terror, all these cities burning up. I believe you're fixing to see something spark a major chaotic situation. I'm no prophet. I'm not acting like I am. I'm just telling you, when you think wisdom and you start looking at history and what happens around these kind of times, you still got Russia, Ukraine over there. Now we have another escalation in the Middle East. Our cities are falling to pieces. We're setting up for something big, and that scares me. Now let's dive into these other two stories. Let's go to this blood situation. There's a new report that I want us to pay attention to, and the reason I want to bring this up is because I think just like the GMO engineered situation with the seeds, with the food, with the things they're putting in arms. All this stuff is made to show that, oh, we don't need God anymore. And that scares the mess out of me. We're acting like all these people can solve all the world's problems without faith and without God. And that's not what I want to see. I think that's what Israel has done, going back to the first point. But ultimately, we have to rely on God for all these things. Our food. You know, it's raining right now. That means our land is getting taken care of here. Now, it stops some things from happening, but ultimately, God knows that we need that. God knows my blueberries need it. God knows my hayfields need it. He's smarter than us. And so when we learn innovation like blood transfusions or learning how to help individuals and being innovative, I think that's God's wisdom. But I think we take it too far because we try to be God. Not me, but I think of people like some of these tech billionaires who believe that they're going to be over this or live forever. And this is just one of those stories. Listen to this new story and it kind of freaks you out. Artificial blood is coming to a hospital near you. Did you know that many people died during the trials and were experimented on without their consent? Universal artificial blood may be soon available in hospitals. Because, I mean, there's a shortage. People are not giving. So we have got to build this artificial blood. Instead of, trying to be proactive and saying, okay, we've built this great technology to allow people to give blood, we don't really a grant for that. I mean, here we are. We give money and cell phones to legal immigrants, but we can't help with a blood drive and actually promote that to people. We want to give them a hamburger for going to get the thing in their arm, but we won't actually encourage people to do blood, give blood so that way we don't have to worry about this kind of artificial stuff. Listen to this. Japanese scientists have created artificial blood that works for any blood type. Now you tell me, why do we have different blood types if all of a sudden we can artificially make something that's going to be better than what God created? That's the same thing with the seed. I talk all the time about how everybody's like, oh, my corn, no animal will eat, no pesticides will bother. Like there was a local farmer. I just put on Facebook the other day. He was selling Anthem 2 corn. Well, it's Anthem XR corn, basically is what it is. But if you read about that seed, it's baked in with pesticides and herbicides and glyphosate. Things that could kill us are baked into the corn. So when we're thinking we're eating good quality corn, cream in that Sunday corn, you're actually eating garbage. Well, this is kind of what the blood thing is. Universal blood can go to anybody. No, don't worry about that AB stuff and that O positive, negative stuff. No, that's what God created. Men know better because that's what we think. That's what we think. And that's so sad. It's made up of expired donor blood and can last up to 5 years in the fridge, 2 years on the shelf, unlike regular blood that spoils in 42 days. So they engineer old people's blood and DNA and grow new quality blood that can last on the shelf for a lot longer. Isn't that kind of funny? Because like the milk, like my raw milk lasts 5 days, 6 days, 7 days. But my artificial engineered milk that's been spun and pasteurized and homogenized and all this stuff done to it can last 45 days. Same process. Early testing shows that volunteers, everything's going well, but it's not went far enough. So they're worried that the clinical trials are not going to be ready until 2030. What they're basically saying is, we're putting this stuff in people and they haven't died yet. I mean, so far, so good. But our clinical trial goes for about another 4 or 5 years because they may end up dying. I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now. We're going to put this stuff in them and hope for the best because it pretty much could kill them at the same time. So it's not quite ready, but it will be ready by 2030. Isn't it amazing how that 2030 date just keeps coming up? Keeps coming up. Keeps coming up. Even when you have quote-unquote conservatives in the White House. Now I'll go to this last story with Mark Anderson. Mark Anderson just came out and stated, if you don't know Mark Anderson, he's a tech billionaire from Silicon Valley. He's invested in a lot of companies. But he made a statement about AI. He said, 20 years from now, the world is going to be running on either Chinese AI or American AI. AI will be the control layer of everything. It will teach your kids. It will control your life. I'm sorry, but it will be running your life. Now, you've heard for the next 4 to 5 years that 30% of jobs can be lost. You heard the next decade that is so innovative that it could possibly be taking over for doctors and lawyers. You've heard now, in the next 20 years, it may be teaching your children, it may be running your life. There's actually already been studies showing that teachers are not as smart as what AI is. So therefore, some of the kids are coming home and quote unquote homeschooling, but what they're doing is they're just being taught by AI. What if all of a sudden AI is biased? What if all of a sudden AI has some glitches? What if all of a sudden the people that want to teach your children and indoctrinate your children makes AI have biases that represent them? I don't think this is a good thing. I honestly believe this is kind of like, to me, I'm just throwing this out there. This is like me where I've got to run a marathon, but I chose not to eat or drink before I started that marathon. And then halfway through, I throw off one shoe. And then I throw off a sock. And then all of a sudden, I put on a jacket. Even though I'm sweating hot, I'm like, I want to put a jacket on and make it even harder for me. And then halfway through, I say, okay, I'm gonna take the jacket. And then another halfway through, I take the jacket off and I say, give me a ruck pack. I want to put a 30-pound, rucker pack on my back and finish the rest of the race. And then we get so close to the finish line and then we just fall out. And they say, well, why didn't you finish the marathon? Well, I thought I was getting stronger. I thought I was doing it the best way. But then I kicked my shoe off. That was pretty stupid, I think. Then I put a jacket on, so I sweated a lot more. Then I put a ruck pack on, and then ultimately, I just didn't finish. And they said, well, why didn't you finish? Well, I kind of did it to myself. And sometimes I feel like that's what we're doing. We can't finish the marathon because we keep doing stupid things to ourselves when it comes to things like AI. Could AI be used for good things? Kind of like a ruck pack or like a jacket or not having shoes on every once in a while when you're grounding? There's different parts of that would be smart. But when you put them all together and when you give too much power to things, then it may take us over. We may not be able to finish the race. Well, I think that's kind of where we are with AI. AI could be used for so many good things. It could answer questions for us. It could be awesome. But then if we start allowing robotics to play into it, now we have a robotic army. Now if we allow for them to teach all our children and us reliant on them to where humans can't do it, then we become completely dependable on a machine to tell us what to do and what to not do. No critical thinking necessary. No common sense, no wisdom ever sought because we're allowing the computer to do it for us. Then all of a sudden we say, well, they're going to be over our missile systems. They're going to be over drones. They're going to be over warfare. Then all of a sudden we wonder why all these countries are getting annihilated. Well, because we're allowing the machines to make the decision, not someone that maybe have a heart to stop the war. I think we're causing our own self to not finish the race. I think we're going to look back one day in history, and when I'm older and more gray, probably bald, maybe a little pudgy, and I'm going to say, boy, that AI thing probably was a bad thing, wasn't it? Now it's ruling over us, and pretty much we're a prison in our own world because technology was so good, but we didn't know when to stop, so we never finished the race, and now we're in a prison more than we were ever in a prison before. San Francisco just came out and said now their cameras on their poles will go 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Meaning, before it was traffic cameras where they would, if a car was coming, it would motion, open it up, and if you were speeding, they'd give you a ticket. They just came out and said, we're going to use cameras for a lot more. We're going to make sure those cameras are on all the time, so they're catching everything about you. So if you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing, we'll be able to give you a ticket when the police are not there. More surveillance. We're putting more technology in the skies with the satellites. Bill Gates is putting 65,000 new satellites in the skies, what he is proposed to do. 65,000. Elon Musk's new innovations with AI. We're putting all the billions and billions and billions of dollars in data centers to harm our grid, but ultimately we need the data for AI. What we're doing is we're imprisoning ourselves. So what should we be doing? Well, you better start putting up money. You better start getting stuff away from digitized forms and your life completely dependent on it. The average American is spending 8 to 10 hours on a device, at least. So that means there's probably people spending even more time on it. If your whole life is encapsulated with it, that means AI is going to be very easy. Digitized money is going to be very easy. Real ID is going to be very easy. Digital ID is going to be very easy because you're already so indoctrinated that this thing can give you all the answers, that AI can give you all the answers. And the whole time we're putting on the jacket, we're kicking off the shoe, and we're putting on the ruck pack, thinking we're going to finish the race, and ultimately we fall before we finish. If we truly want America to be better, we need a reawakening. We need revival. We need to structure our life with conservatism and not lose and fight amongst ourselves. We need to quit worrying about GMO engineered corn and quit trying to artificially give us, old blood that we've revamped and engineered. And we need to quit worrying about AI completely taking over our lives. We're so excited to be lazy and not work that we're willing to allow AI to come in and pretty much put us in prison. We've heard that and heard that from all these tech billionaires who are investing in it. They're not stupid. They're the ones that give you the iPhone. They're the ones that built the technology. And now we're allowing them to just pretty much rule over us, saying, look, AI will take your jobs. AI will pretty much rule over you. AI will teach your children. AI will run the robotics in your home. AI will pretty much be over you, and pretty much you'll be in a prison. I mean, they might as well just finish that statement out with, pretty much you'll be in the prison. Pretty much you will not finish your race because ultimately we're going to cause a problem for it. That's what scares me about all this conversation. We hear it, and for some reason, like what Trump told Iran, we've warned you, we've warned you, we've warned you. Israel's warned you, and then all of a sudden it's too late. They're going to bomb you and take out all your generals. Well, let's take this back to a spiritual thing. We've been warned that something major is coming. Something major is happening. I mean, there's an event tomorrow dealing with the No Kings events. Father's Day is right around the corner. Military parade that's going to expose Trump and Vance and all the leadership at this big parade. We have biological warfare that's been, third Chinese person busted in this last week with things that could harm us. Big threat for July 4th. What are we doing? We've been warned to prepare. And one day it's going to be too late to not prepare. And we're not going to finish the race. Guys, let me know your thoughts on all this today. I appreciate you for being here. And hopefully I'm telling you something that will give you a little bit more wisdom and common sense. Say, you know what? That's a good idea. Let me think about that. Oh, no, I don't want to agree with that, but here's my point. I think it's good for us to talk amongst ourselves, to work as a team and start understanding common knowledge together and start working together. Because right now we're being divided and we're going to get conquered. Let me know your thoughts. God bless.